Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Shake Sales. I'm Sujan Patel, your host and founder of Mailshake. Today I got Michael Hansen with me. He's the CEO and founder of Growth Genie. And what they do is they help sales teams really figure out their messaging and their sales strategy and then teach their team and scale it. Is that right, Michael? You
Yeah.
probably could explain better than me.
Yeah, pretty much bang on the money. Working with salespeople, training and coaching them, and also working on kind of playbooks, cadences, more of the messaging and strategy, as you said. Oh.
Love it. So I feel like this is an area where it's like the rubber meets the road. You can have the best team, the best head of sales, the best product, but you can't figure out your messaging and pain points for your customer and then get your whole company, your whole team to go, be consistent, coherent with this. It all falls apart, right? You don't get
No.
demos, you don't close deals. It's not repeatable. And frankly, this is near and dear to my heart because we spent much of 2022 really getting this down to our team, and I can tell you, like, it brings back some like horror slash like painful memories. So let's jump in. So okay, I want to ask the most basic question here because I think some of the basics are what people get wrong, and then they build a
Yeah.
bad like foundation. So how the heck do you come up with your messaging, your sales pitch, your messaging?
Yeah, I think the problem with most messaging is, and you see a lot of gurus or whatever say this on LinkedIn, but the people are still doing it. It's like people are pitching their product and the features of the product versus like what do your customers want, right? So for me, it's if you've got some happy customers, like interview all of your happy customers and ask them, okay, what was the situation before you worked with us? What were the pains you were facing? And how did we help you with those pains? One, you've created great customer stories if you do that. But two, that can help your sales team think, okay, these are the pains. And actually and this is where sales and marketing should be aligned, is sales team are on the front line speaking to customers every day. So you should be asking your sales team all the time, what are the pain points that are coming up over and over again? And those are the ones that you really want to talk about.
Love it, love it. And so I'll give you a concrete example here so everyone can follow along. When we started Mailshake in 2016, 17, something like that, we kind of focused on the opposite of what our competitors did. Our goal was to build simple UX to get things out the door faster, like a no frills version. What our customers saw, the outcome of like a good, easy to use product was customers can launch their sales campaign in minutes. Like that was not my words. My words were, this is the best UX. This is like none of the BS. It's a great experience. You're gonna do that and the other. Customers like, I love this because there's no training required and I could launch my campaign within minutes. And that saves me blah 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 blah. So going back to a concrete example, if I told you what I wanted to say about the product and the features, it'd be very different than the actual things customers care about.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so I want to go talk about building a playbook, right? So you got the
Yeah.
messaging down. What happens next? How do you build this playbook?
Yeah, the playbook. The problem with the term playbook is playbook means a million things to like different people, right? So for us, the
Yeah,
playbook should be mapping out things like your ideal customers. So again, some companies are going to be very straightforward, like one ICP. Others are going to have a very diverse ICP. So you want to have all your different personas in there, the different industries you're looking at. And then we also have these things called trigger events, right? And these are really important for outbound, which is, okay, what are some of the things that are typically happening that make a company a good fit for your service? So it could be like they've opened a new office, right? Maybe it's some type of property technology. It could be they're expanding into a new geography. It could be there's a new regulation that's coming like into the market. In our case, we know if a company is using certain sales technology that we partner with, or they're using and they're hiring SDRs or salespeople. And then the way you can use this as well is psychologically when you reach out to someone cold and they don't know your brand, the first thing they think is, who is this person? Why are they contacting me? And then these triggers give you a good reason. Oh, I noticed you're hiring salespeople. I noticed you just opened an office in London and you just hired like a general manager there, right? So that's a part of the ICP that we often think is missing. And then all the things I talked about before, the pain points of your personas, your customer stories, and then mapping out your whole sales process, which is from when a lead is booked, right, you have a meeting with them, all the steps that are then going to help you to close a deal with them. So that's kind of like a very, very high level overview. But we basically got a Growth Genie Playbook template that I'd be happy to share with you and kind of put in the notes as well of the show.
Yeah, would love it. Yeah, that we'll link that in the show notes and whatnot. That's fantastic, and you're right. The playbook means something different to everybody, and it frankly is, So I'm glad you defined it. So I like the fact that you included like an event that triggers something, right? So like somebody just hired a general manager, opened an office, like the relevant thing that you can kind of go pinpoint. So let's talk about how do you get your team to use a playbook or your scripts and the like unified messaging.
Yeah, we struggled a lot with this at Growth Genie because we would build playbooks that like the C-level and the VPs and stuff would absolutely love. And then we would roll it out with the team. And then sometimes, often the feedback was good from the team, but then they're not actually using it. And then 6 months down the line, we're like, when's the last time you looked at the playbook? And it's, 3-4 months ago. So what we did is with the playbook, we then got each individual salesperson to create their own mini playbook. So our playbooks may be somewhere between like 50 and 100 slides, so they may be very big. But then you ask each individual sales team member to create a mini playbook of like 10 slides, right? And that's not the whole ICP of the company, but the specific ICP you're targeting, their pain points, the customer stories that are relevant to your audience. So I think that's what's relevant, is it's still not, you don't want to treat your sales team like robots. You want them to customize their day and what they're doing. So basically, once you've created a big playbook, which is for the whole company, get each salesperson to almost create their own mini playbook that they're going to use for themselves.
Love it. I think that's fantastic. And the way I look at this is like when you're giving the playbook to the sales rep or sales team and letting them touch it and modify it or understand it, it's now their playbook, and it's not like my manager handed me this. It doesn't work. I don't like it, and it's easy for a sales rep to say it doesn't work. I'm not effective with it. When the reason could be the messaging could be fine, the campaign, like the sequences, the script could be great. You're just not used to selling that way, right? So there's some training and friction involved on that front. That's one of the things I found at Mailshake we do with our team is we give them a working playbook, and that playbook is updated fairly regularly based off of what we're seeing work and not work, and then sales rep makes it their own to an extent.
Yeah, 100%. It's got to be. We always say So I was just going to say it's a living, breathing document, right? So you've got to be looking at it all the time and making adjustments to it. And, sales is changing all the time. Oh.
Absolutely. I mentioned that like our messaging was like in 2017 to probably 2021 was like, you could launch a campaign in minutes. Well, that campaign worked really well during that time frame. And then like something changed in email deliverability, like Google, Microsoft's, all these email providers kind of just up their like security and like really like spam filters. Let's just simplify it. And now all of a sudden the pain point, no one cared that they could launch a campaign in minutes. And two things changed. People started struggling with deliverability and their current tools and their workflow. And that became the top of mind. And number two, ease to use as more competitors enter the space. That was just like, no shit. That's why like everyone does this. What makes you different? So we had to go redo the messaging to say, we're actually best at deliverability, and we have to back that up with our product, right? So again, I'm not trying to talk about us the whole time. I want to just relate this to concrete examples, right? That
Yeah.
living playbook, and then even in that, like deliverability, from 2020 to now is the main focus of like the messaging. But even now, we have certain ICPs that don't give a crap about email deliverability. They care about blah blah blah, or they care about some other thing, right? And so we've now have 3 or 4 playbooks. I don't know. Do you find yourself having a company having multiple playbooks, or are we just crazy?
Yeah, well, it's like I was saying, even every individual sales rep will have their own playbook. I think you want to like kind of company overarching playbook, but then you have like mini playbooks for like different industries, different ICPs. Some companies, it's a very straightforward product. Like we've worked with like dental softwares before, and it's like we're targeting dentists and that's it. But then obviously you've got other companies and their ICP is very complex. They got 20 products, they got like 50 personas. So then you want to break down your playbooks.
Love it, love it. I've got 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. And these are very tactical questions. So, what's a healthy sales cadence look like? How
Yeah,
often? What's channels? Like, what do you see work?
Yeah, I think the classic thing in terms of channels is, LinkedIn, email, phones. Kind of everyone says that nowadays. The reason we still recommend doing all of them, everyone's different. Some people never pick up a call to a number they don't recognize. Other people are much more likely to answer a call than an email. A lot of people are like, email is dead, but email is very good, I think, for like sharing information that people can digest in their own time. Calls are obviously good for conversations. And in terms of like how it looks, normally, so our cadences have a lot of touch points, which people think is kind of crazy. But I can give you an example of so my colleague Lawrence, he did a campaign recently, and it was a cold outbound campaign, and I think the reply rate overall was really impressive. It was something like 21%. So 1 in 5 people were replying, which is decent for a cold cadence. But if you looked at each step of the emails, it wasn't that impressive. It was like 3%, 4%, etc. But by the time it got to the 8th email, he got 20% of the people replying. I think if he'd stopped at email 3 or 4, it would have been 10%. So he's basically doubled the number of meetings. And then importantly, those are turning into customers as well. So persistence is really key. And then we're normally doing about 6 or 7 LinkedIn touches as well. I think that's a little bit different from some other cadences I've seen, and that's not just messaging people directly. It's connecting with them on LinkedIn, commenting on their posts, messaging them directly. LinkedIn voice notes is something we see good success with as well. Something a little bit different, more human. And then I think in terms of what you actually put in your messaging, one of the things we say is offer content as well. So versus just saying, hey, do your 15 minutes to learn about Mailshake, especially at the start, do a little bit more of like a soft approach, right? So let's go to that example I said before. If someone's opening an office somewhere, hey, notice you're opening an office. Here are some things to think about, like when you move in, as an example, right? So it's like, are you just getting their attention? And then from there, once they say yes, you can try and like start more of a sales conversation. So that's something we always recommend, is think about what's some content you can give them to start a conversation, and like, give before you take.
Yeah, I love that. I think you just dropped a lot of knowledge right there. And again, we'll link to the show notes, your kind of playbook that you'll share. One last question here. So I feel like this is the most common situation I see. Once you get people through the door, you present a demo, and the prospect ghosts you. What do you do? What do you guys recommend, or what works for you?
Yeah, first thing is, I think the best salespeople, they're like almost self-critical, and it's thinking, okay, why is a person ghosting? Like, what have I done to deserve being ghosted, right? If you're using any type of call recording, listen back to the call recording and think, what could you have done better? Send it to someone on your team, send it to your manager, ask, what could you have done better? And then aside from that is, okay, thinking, sometimes when we go into a call, we're thinking, oh, we got to sell to this person, but especially we're in B2B. Let's just say we're selling Mailshake. Maybe I speak to a sales manager, but I know there's a chief revenue officer involved as well. The sales manager's ghosting me. I can think, well, actually, the sales manager, he's just given me a load of good information. So I'm going to use that information, and then I'm going to like outbound the CRO, right, at the company. So if one person is ghosting you, if you're in business to business, it doesn't mean that the deal is dead, because you can then go to someone else in the company. So that would be my recommendation. And in terms of channels, like I find text, we don't really recommend for like completely cold leads, but if you've already had a conversation with someone, I think you've got every right to text them as well. And I think the data is like the average open rate for a text is like 90% versus 20% for an email. So generally the response rates are much higher there.
I love it. Yeah, I think my team has used text messaging and multi-threading to multiple users or multiple prospects or people within the organization super successfully. Like I remember like end of the quarter, my our sales reps like we just told the team like if you have an open deal, it's high likelihood of close in your CRM because they've like said, yeah, we want to move forward and they haven't closed, text them.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was like 3 or 4 sales just came in like within the hour of the text message, right? Oh, like, and one thing I want to add to this is for international folks or like just different countries, WhatsApp or whatever their local like app is.
Yeah.
I found that to work well as well. So just my 2 cents. But Michael, thanks so much for joining. For everyone listening, go over to growthgenie.co and go check out his content, follow him on LinkedIn, and check out those show notes for that playbook.
Thanks a lot. Really enjoyed the show.